Imagine waking up one morning and realizing the life you spent years building in the UK could disappear, not because you did something wrong, but because the rules suddenly changed. By 2026, millions of people living in the UK may face exactly that reality. This isn't speculation. It's not fear-mongering. It's the result of a sweeping overhaul of immigration laws that could reshape who is allowed to stay, who must leave, and who even gets a chance to build a future here. Workers, students, families, long-term residents. Many believe these changes won't affect them, but that assumption could be dangerous. The laws coming in 2026 don't just target future migrants. They reach deep into communities that already exist. People who have jobs, homes, children, and lives rooted in the UK. Today, we're breaking down 10 major immigration changes coming in 2026 laws that could determine whether millions are allowed to stay or quietly pushed out. Stay with us, because every single one of these could change everything you thought you knew about living in the UK. 1. The final end of free movement for EU citizens. For years, EU citizens were able to live and work in the UK with relative security. That era is coming to a definitive end. By 2026, free movement for EU citizens will be effectively shut down. For those without permanent or settled status, the consequences could be severe. If you're living in the UK on temporary permissions or never finalized your long-term status, you may be forced to leave. This isn't about new arrivals. It's about people who moved years ago, built careers, raised families, and became part of their communities. Imagine contributing to society for a decade, only to be told that you no longer qualify to stay. For many EU citizens, this won't feel like policy reform. It will feel like their lives are being dismantled piece by piece. A far harsher points-based immigration system. The UK's points-based immigration system is about to become much more unforgiving. By 2026, remaining in the country will depend on hitting strict targets, salary thresholds, skill levels, education, and language proficiency. Miss the mark, and your right to stay could vanish. For those already living in the UK on temporary visas, this creates a ticking clock. Lose your job, take a pay cut, fail to meet a new requirement, and everything could collapse. This system doesn't just decide who enters the UK. It decides who deserves to stay. And for millions, the margin for error will be razor thin. 3. Deportation without the right to appeal. One of the most controversial changes coming in 2026 is deportation without appeal. Under the new rules, people found without proper documentation may be removed from the UK almost immediately with little or no chance to challenge the decision. No court hearing, no opportunity to explain mistakes, no time to prepare. For families, this could mean separation overnight. For workers, the loss of everything they've built in days. Critics warn that errors will be inevitable, and without the right to appeal, those mistakes could permanently destroy lives. FIRA, much stricter. Sponsorship. Visa rules. In 2026, sponsorship visas will come under intense scrutiny. Employers will be required to prove more aggressively than ever that no local worker can fill a role before hiring a non-citizen. Compliance checks will increase. Costs will rise. And many companies may simply stop sponsoring workers altogether. For sponsored employees, this creates constant vulnerability. Lose your job, and you may lose your legal status at the same time. What was once a pathway to stability will now feel like standing on unstable ground, hoping nothing shifts beneath your feet. 5. Severe restrictions on family reunification. Perhaps the most emotionally devastating change is what's coming for families. By 2026, bringing loved ones to the UK will become far more difficult and far more expensive. Spouses, children, even parents may no longer qualify unless strict financial and social criteria are met. For families separated by borders, this could mean years of waiting or permanent separation. Imagine working legally in the UK, paying taxes, contributing to society, yet being told you cannot live with your own family. For many, this policy won't just change their immigration status. It will break the foundation of their personal lives. Sex. Visa renewal fees skyrocket. Staying legally in the UK is about to become significantly more expensive. Visa renewal fees are set to rise sharply in 2026, placing enormous financial pressure on non-citizens, especially families who must pay for multiple renewals at once. For some, the cost will outweigh the benefits of staying. For others, it will push them toward financial hardship or force them to leave altogether. This isn't just an administrative change. It's a financial barrier that could quietly push thousands out of the country. 7. Expansion of the hostile environment policy. The hostile environment policy is being reinforced. That means stricter checks, increased enforcement, and limited access to essential services for anyone without perfect documentation. Healthcare, housing, education, all could become inaccessible. This creates fear, mistrust, and isolation. People who have lived in the UK for years may suddenly feel unsafe seeking help, visiting hospitals, or interacting with authorities. The result is a society where people are forced into the shadows, not because they want to, but because they're afraid not to. 8. Constant visa checks for students and workers. In 2026, visas won't just be granted, they'll be continuously monitored. Students and workers will face more frequent checks, unexpected reviews, and tighter deadlines. One missed document or delayed response could cost someone their right to stay. For students, this adds stress to an already demanding experience. For workers, it creates instability that makes long-term planning nearly impossible. The message is clear. Permission to stay is no longer assumed, it must be constantly proven. 9. Ban on non-EU migrants in low-skilled jobs. Non-EU migrants will be barred from many low-skilled jobs by 2026. Industries like agriculture, hospitality, and retail sectors that rely heavily on migrant labor could face severe shortages. For workers already in these roles, the risk is immediate. Lose eligibility, and you lose your income. Lose your income, and you may lose your right to remain. For many families, this could mean sudden unemployment and forced departure from the UK. 10. The impact on long-term residents. The most unsettling change of all is what happens to long-term residents. People who have lived in the UK for decades on temporary or non-permanent visas may be forced to reprove their right to stay under harsher standards. Years of contribution may no longer matter. Stability may vanish overnight. Imagine spending half your life in one country, only to be told it no longer considers you home. For many, this will feel like betrayal. Conclusion: the immigration changes coming in 2026 are not minor adjustments. They represent a fundamental shift in who the UK allows to stay and under what conditions. Millions of people face uncertainty. Workers, students, families, and long-term residents who believe their future was secure. As these laws take shape, staying informed will be critical. Knowing your rights, your options, and the risks ahead could make the difference between stability and forced departure. If this video helped you understand what's coming, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to stay informed as these changes develop, make sure to subscribe. Because what happens next could affect more people than anyone realizes.